I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us.
What's going on, my son Lennon?
Everything is hunky-dory, Tamika.
Hunky?
Hunky-dory.
I guess.
No pun intended.
That's what you
hunky-dory.
Let's say. I don't know about that, but I guess everything is... I can't even say everything is fine because it's so not fine.
Listen, man, we got to find some joy somewhere.
I don't disagree.
Got to.
I think black joy is what has always... it's been a consistent source of renewal and strength for us, that even when we were in some of the worst times, I mean, you think about, even, at the time of enslavement, they still had song, they still had moments where they enjoyed, one another's company, the children still played. I don't think that we should not have black joy. I think our problem is that we don't have a balance of more focus on our struggle and our fight for our rights and less on the joy side. Like, I feel almost like joy should be the reward we get for winning battles.
Okay. It should be. But it also should be just our natural thing. Right?
I mean, I think it should be natural.
Yeah, like the problem is we live in a society so much that we fight so much that the only time we get to rejoice is when we win the fight, right? I don't think that's what God created us to do. I think God created us to be able to enjoy the smell of the roses, to look at the sun, to lay on the beach, right? And that's why we live in a society where people try to chase, the creature comfort so much, because they want to live that joy. And when you actually experience that joy, when you're able to go to Africa and sit on the beach or sit on the ocean and look at the creations of our ancestors and just enjoy that moment, it's a beautiful thing. And that's what we all seek for.
I'm looking at joy different.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think we should have much rest. I think we should have all beautiful things. It should be opulent all around us at all times. But I guess when I think about joy, I think about, we having boots on the ground kind of joy, which is cool. But I don't know. I feel awkward, even in myself, that I still go out. I still try to enjoy myself. But I find also that while I'm in, like the Food and Wine Festival this week, having a great time. Shout out to our sister Naomi, who put on an incredible, along with her team, occasion at Queens College, the Flavored Food and Wine Festival. It's the second annual, and it was beautiful. And while being there in places like that, where I'm enjoying and, just trying to smell the roses, as you said, I feel like people are constantly walking over to me, getting in my ear, who are kind of like us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're like, if you out in the world and people who know that something crazy is happening. I'm saying, like, I would imagine it being kind of like a movie where you're not really supposed to talk about it, but certain people know that some big thing is happening. And so people will come over to me and they'll be in my ear like, hey, what are we going to do? Like, what's happening? Like, I'm scared, or this happened to me, or, my kids, their aid got cut, or their scholarships have been discontinued. And, people are really feeling it. People are like, I've been looking for a job, or I've been at this place for 20 years and they just let me go. And I don't know why. I mean, one of our brothers who we're very close to, who worked for a senator in New York, soon as I pulled up at a birthday party, he's like, yo, I need to talk to you outside. Like, there is an undercurrent that should be an overcurrent, if you will, of people who are focused on the fact that that Project 2025 is happening. And I don't know that everybody is like, I don't know. I just So I think I have a sense of awkwardness, and you're probably right that we should have Black joy and joy in general all the time. But I almost feel like the balance needs to be there, especially it's like you partying every day when you know you're supposed to be at like school and work, and you just letting school and work go to shit while you having a good time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that makes me feel concerned.
I mean, I deal with this same concern all the time. And I think for me, I think I'm settling into the reality of exactly what it is. I think I was having this level of anxiety like a year ago because I just foresee a lot of things. So I knew that we were coming to this place. Right? I knew that people didn't understand the seriousness of what and people still don't. Like people still be, ain't nothing. Okay, so I don't even have conversations with those people. I understand that there's a certain demographic of us that are going to be called to do certain things in this moment, right? So I'm just gearing up and getting my mind prepared for the level of organization, the level of building, education that we have to do. We have to educate our young youth. We have to stop the evils going on in our communities. We got to stop the violence going on in our communities and let them really understand the time that we are in right now. Because that's what it's going to take. I'm not trying to preach and have conversations with 40 and 50-year-old people that's still telling me about some other stuff. I know throughout, the last couple of years, everybody was like, oh, this is what we need. And when they were saying that, I knew.
When you say this is what we need.
We need a Trump presidency. We need them to see how serious it is. And I said, we're not prepared for that. And right now, we realize that we are not prepared for that. We realize that these people have strategically and outplanned us. They have strategically outplanned us, and they are executing everything. They're creating civil unrest. They're trying to create a civil war. It's complete division, and our people are not prepared for it.
I don't know if I would say that we have been outplanned, because I know that their plans will fail at some point, right? I think that we have been tricked. I don't think we're so much outplanned, because we are the biggest survivors in the universe. No one knows how to survive and how to organize movements, whether it be of resistance or of just like taking care of one another, like Black folks, right? Like we are the architects of it. In fact, most of what they have even learned in terms of how to take care of themselves has been because of our wisdom. I think that what has happened, though, is that a part of their plan was to dangle in front of us comfort. And it wasn't just their plan. I think our elders wanted to provide for our community and wanted the children not to have to suffer the things of the past. And in doing, it's a very similar conversation to one of the things you were talking about. I think it was one of your I Don't Get It segments. Some weeks back, you were talking about, have we given our kids too much and not allowed them to learn and see struggle? Mm-hmm. I think that is, some of what has happened in our community, that there was a fight to get us access. There was a fight to make sure we had comfortabilities and to have different opportunities. And there are many people, not all by a long shot, but many people who enjoy those things. And now we're being called into a space where we're going to have to go back to the fight necessary to secure whatever it is that we built and build something new. The one thing I know is that America is coming to its knees, right? Like white men, particularly, with the assistance of white women who believe in it. Anybody who has not watched Handmaid's Tale, go sit down, take you a weekend, and just watch Handmaid's Tale all the seasons, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. That white women who always believe that they're going to have proximity to some type of power just because they're supporting their white men in this tyranny that they are causing on other people. They always get the shit end of the stick as well, by the way. But nonetheless, they support that. But white men always, in their quest for power and their fear of allowing the world to be as God would have it, which is to be diverse, which is that you are not the alpha and the omega of everything, they will always go too far every single time, right? This is a Cora Masters Berry line. Shout out to our mentor and our love and heart and the big homie of our lives. She always tells me these people will take it too far every time. And what's going to happen in this moment is that what they think they're doing is collapsing things on our behalf and making it where only they're in power. But what they don't understand is that this whole entire world has been upheld by us and our labor. Everything, everywhere. Whether it be the way people have learned or what people have learned about other nations, like African blood and sweat is what makes this world what it is.
I don't disagree with it, but what I'm saying is this: there's an innate nature of us to survive. Like we live off just innate nature. We're dealing with a strategic devil who plans because they know the nature of you. It's just like you know that the lion is the king of the jungle. So there's the king of the jungle, and then you watch the little wild coyotes just sit around and strategically plan on how to destroy him. Right? And ultimately, after they destroy one of them, the other lions come back. But this is how they get any level of power. What they do is sit around and plan and watch because they know they can't beat you on the merits of just fighting you, or just straight up fighting you. And they understand that. That's why it's always been unfair. When you look at how they have colonized, it's never been fair. It's never been straight up warfare. It's always been sneak attack, just strategy, because we get so confident in our ability just to win and our ability to survive that we're not planning. So we have to have the strategy of planning.
Yeah, some people are gonna say they don't agree with you.
I know, but I'm just trying to. But you can't
because there are people who have been planning.
But I'm just trying to tell you, they haven't been.
It's maybe cohesiveness is an issue.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They are cohesively planning. We've been planning in silos, and now in this moment, I'm watching to see people saying, "Yo, we need to plan all together," and calling people to the table that they normally wouldn't call because they understand that even their strategies are going to be required in this moment. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, up to this moment, we've been outplanned. You know, the planning now moving forward is definitely going to take place, and there are leaders and thinkers and organizers that are sitting around figuring out what we have to do, but it's always that. And I think that's what we have to get in front of now. I think when we look at Project 2025 and we look at the architects of it and we look at how they strategically lie and say, hey, no, it's not Project 20. What is that? We don't got nothing to do with that. Every one of them is in this cabinet right now, and they are strategically implementing, and they're just saying, forget everybody, fuck what you think, we just doing this. I don't think that we believe that. I don't think we believed it up to now. I don't believe that even as they're implementing it, people are acting like it's not happening. But there are people who understand the realities of the times, and I'm saying that's why I say we outplan. Because now this is what they've done. I was watching Roland Martin. Who was he talking to? He was having an interview with somebody, and he was talking about every time there's black progress, there's white backlash. Mm-hmm. And then we have to revolt again. It's the same strategy, and I'm tired of having that strategy. I want us to people when we have the black progress. I want us to already have the defense for the white backlash. I want us to already be prepared, and that's what I haven't seen. I think that's the next level that we have to be at. We have to be prepared for once we get this like we build Black Wall Street, we got to put them like. Israel got a tent over there. They got
a dome.
A dome. Whatever it is, they got a dome.
An iron dome.
Because they prepared. Like somebody gonna bomb. We understand. We understood. They keep saying never again. And they make all of the strategic plans for whatever happened to them never to happen again. And we're not doing it. They're constantly able to burn down Black Wall Street. And then we fight back and we rebuild it up because that's who we are. We are naturally God. But they understand it's like kryptonite. It's like they understand we're going to put them in kryptonite. Every time they get too strong, we're going to trap them in this kryptonite. Mm-hmm. And then after we trap them and they fight back to get out, we're going to figure out we got to make sure that they never get their hands on kryptonite again. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the plan I'm talking about. I'm not saying that we're not doing anything or we aren't planning. We aren't planning for it to never happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think there's some dynamics in terms of just the way that we distribute wealth out of our community that's going to be something we have to grab hold of. And I'm not sitting up here saying, oh, don't do some of the things you want to do and have nice things and go places and whatever. But we're going to have to consider our own businesses and infrastructures first, then take whatever little percentage and buy a thing here and go to these people's resorts and do this stuff. But the first thing we're going to have to do is ensure that we are securing our communities and our products, services, vendors, and all of that first. That's the way. I think that's the only solution, because right now we're the consumers that put our money out. We have to be the consumers that keep our money in. That's how you build a stronger society. And if you look at other communities that do it, they do it. Those communities are pretty much, like you said, under their own dome. It doesn't mean they're not experiencing the cuts and other things as well, but they also have built-in mechanisms to support their own communities. When I think about how the Muslim community operates in general, because obviously we have, the pleasure of spending a lot of time with a number of Muslim people who are great leaders. And one thing I know is that when they have a candidate running, they raise money. When they have a business that has opened, they support the business. They really, truly have a sense of connectivity that there has been a number done on us. There's been a number done on us. And I feel like, I think more people are beginning to think about it, but there has to be an even bigger acceleration, if you will, of the support for our own. And that brings me to my thought of the day. I had a different thought of the day. I was going to talk about this crazy rapture thing, but we'll talk about that later. But yesterday I had this really difficult day of conversations with folks around the Target boycott. I think that there is always, and I'm committed to it, so I'm not suggesting that that in any way I think or believe at any point that a boycott, sustaining it for as long as we have, would be easy. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes the inner workings of all the things get to be pretty challenging. And yesterday, I spent my day going back and forth about new products being launched in the store, particularly one beautiful sister who deserves all the support in the world, absolutely. But how the boycott is impacting not just her, but also impacting, or how it will impact her. What she did, well, I think she sold out or whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But then other vendors that are in the space, and we're constantly in the tension of trying to figure out what to do to ensure that those vendors' businesses do not collapse, right? And so we've been very clear that we want people to please support the businesses directly. I don't know why some of us act like if we can't go through a major retailer, we can't find stuff, or we don't know. It's not that hard, right? This lip gloss that I wear right here, it's by a Black sister who I think I'm supposed to tell her website, but I don't really know. So let me check things before I say the things. But once I received a link that she has a product, and I know her, she's a beautiful woman, I just started buying the lip gloss. Now I don't have anything else in my little pouch or no other. It's all around my house. It's everywhere. That's what I wear. I don't need to go to a big company, a big store, or to Amazon or any of these places to purchase it because it's available. We have to retrain the way that we think, And so we were in, having a lot of dialogue back and forth about that. And my thought of the day came to me because while 95% of the conversations were, we're 100% in support of the boycott, and we stand in this moment in solidarity with those who are boycotting Target. There's another 5% that has the issue of, one, well, I don't even understand why we need to do this, and and I get my stuff. I like Target. I always like Target. I don't get it. What's the big deal? What does it do for us? And then, of course, you have the people who are like, well, I don't care because I'm still going to Target because I don't see how this connects to anything else. And I also, I'm going to support these Black women businesses, and that's just what I'm going to do. And that's fine. And what happened to me was, for a moment, I began to think about the stress of our past leaders, right? Why some of them emotionally were walking around dead, even though they may have physically still been present. And I know some of these people. I have met and sat with and talked to some of the leaders of the past in our community, or not, yes, of the past, meaning that they were actively outside. And I know of the stress that they carried when trying to lead and trying to get people together to do a particular action. The stress that we experience is almost violent, right?
It's not almost.
No, it is almost violent.
No, it's actually violent because it is wear and tear on your body. Like it you can feel the physical effect. It's like somebody is harming you.
This is true.
Like it wears on your brain, your body, your spirit. When you look at Obama, he got a full head of gray hair. Like, you watch stress and those leadership positions completely transform someone.
Right.
I was watching the Following Harry. Mr. Harry Belafonte. RP to him, and they have a short kind of documentary where they're following him around and throughout the years. And the main thing I noticed, right, was every generation that he was mentoring. They had you in it. They had Phil Agnew. They had the young people from Parkland. It was just different situations that you would see leadership. And every time he was having, you showed him with Dr. King, and you would just see the level of vibrancy in him just start diminishing, right? He was saying the same thing to everybody. But he felt like, at the beginning, he was like, yo, this is what you need to do. What are you going to do different in this moment? Like, when he said the agenda is define the agenda, and he was vibrant about that. And then every time these young people come and he's seen a moment for them, he would give them the advice. But you can hear it in his voice that he knew that they wasn't that as serious. Like, he was sitting there and
I don't think it's that they're not as serious.
Well, he didn't.
Right? Because that's a place where I would disagree with Mr.
I don't know if
that's what happens is going back to my point about my thought of the day is that people start out with the best intentions to really do something powerful. They see it. They have vision. They have heart. They have all the things. And the tension that you are faced with by trying to help, trying to keep your people together. And see, this is what I think is important for me to say. I'm not talking about the masses, because you will never, ever be able to get the masses of the people to do anything.
That's right.
Right? You will never be able to get that. But what you can do, what is extremely challenging is when the people that you often have to fight are the folks who are supposed to be in it with you, right? And we're not talking about debate of thought, because debate of thought makes us stronger. We're talking about people who literally work to undermine the strategies, and or they tell you they support you, but behind your back, they snickering to other people, oh, it ain't gonna work. I don't even know why they doing this. I never agreed with it in the first place. That type of energy can be very, 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 very draining. But I am so grateful for the mentors that are around me, the people who I have sought out to be mentors, as well as those that have been placed in my life by my parents and other people who care about me, because they always keep me grounded and focused on the things that matter. And so today I woke up and I was expressing that, and I understand that we have to be able to dodge and move and keep moving and keep going, right? I get it. And so I often find myself bouncing back quickly from tough conversations, difficult situations, all of that, the betrayal that exists within the space. I find myself being able to, I make sure that I don't let it just go. I definitely will address it. But I find myself being able to say, okay, we got to keep on keeping on. And today I was like, yo, I'm just tired. Like, I'm just tired. And I'm not tired because vendors are being supported. I'm not tired because, people don't always agree. I'm tired because I'm trying to figure out at what point will we have the Cracker Barrel / Disney effect, where when people know that something is happening that is wrong, it is very, very limited the amount of people who will try to undermine, change it, say, let's do this, that, and the third. Them Cracker Barrel folks, the white folk that saw that Cracker Barrel was being removed, did not care who sold the syrup. They did not care about the vendors in the front of the store. They didn't care about the candy companies. They didn't say, well, who sells the chairs? I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. They said the image of the cracker on the barrel is in alignment with our values, our morals and values. And they said, if you don't put it back on there, we're going to tank your shit. So we selling our stock. We're going to drop your value by $100 million in 2 to 3 days. And when you put it back, we'll come back. But we're not going to give up until you do what we are demanding that you do. And I think that, I don't know if I ever said my thought of the day, but I think that my really when I narrow it down to what I'm thinking is that our love and care and support for our people is what has sustained us. Even though when it comes to us directly, sometimes that goes out the window, but put that for a different segment or a different episode. Our love and care and support and the compassion that we have for our people is what has sustained us. And so it is probably the biggest asset that we have, but it is also to our detriment. It is also a part of the demise of our communities. We will rise from this moment, but we're going to face more challenges because of lack of discipline and lack of unity, right? And I know that in order to fight the opponent that is in front of us, the way in which we operate is going to make it even more difficult, because some of us are unwilling to take short-term inconveniences and even pain and sacrifice in order for us to get to the greater good. And the reason why I can speak to short-term sacrifice and pain, and sometimes it's long-term, is because I've done it in my own life. I have sacrificed. I have said, I want to be in the room. I want to be in the spaces. I want my businesses to flourish. I want things that I'm doing to, make it here, there, and the third. I want my book to be New York Times bestseller and all of that. But I have sacrificed because I have decided to stand in a space that speaking truth to power is not profitable. And it is also, there's retaliation that goes hand in hand with it. And so sometimes I sit back and I say to myself, I'm so tired that today it's over. I'm just done. Like, let me just do something else. I know there's other things I can do. I could just go work for people and never have my face. Like, I'll do the shit. I'll organize the stuff and turn it over to you and you be the face of it. I just need you to pay me enough that I can go and take care of my family and my responsibilities. I don't have to be the face so that it's not controversial. I can work for candidates. I can support from the background and just stay out the way. And that's just how I feel. Like, that's what I need to do. And I was reminded, I was saying, thank God for the mentors that I have in my life. Bishop Leah Daughtry, who I need to breathe every day. God bless. She pulls me out of every single time that I feel like I'm in that foxhole. She reminded me this morning that out of 700 churches in Birmingham, Alabama, 700 churches in Birmingham, Alabama, only 60 of them, only 60 were supportive of the movement and were engaged. Only 60. And I needed to hear that so that I could remind myself that it's only going to be a few of us that are going to pull the rest of us along. But I just want people to know that part of the reason why so many people don't feel that they can even be in this work, like they touch it with a toe and say, let me back up, because the way in which we fight one another is so disheartening and so crippling at times that it makes it difficult for folks to even feel like they can see themselves continuing to stay the course. And so I know that some people might say, oh, that's weak and that's this and that's that. But I don't think it's weak. I think it is a human emotion to say that at times, because I don't gain a dime nor a thing. I'm not even the main face of the Target boycott. I don't be on TV talking about it. I don't do any of that. I don't gain anything. In fact, it actually harms my reputation even more for me being able to go out and maybe one day get a job somewhere or start a business and have funding from some of these companies or some of these people that fund people, right? Because even black folks will look at you like, oh, you the boycott person. I can't put my money over there, right? So I don't gain anything. What I'm doing is a part of a group of people who have said that we're picking targets and we are going to make people feel it when they harm our communities. And it's one by one by one. And yes, there are casualties because we are actually in what is called a WAR. Mm-hmm. So that's why yes, it's casualties. You try to minimize, but you can't sit there and say, oh, we're all just we're going to be free and oppressed at the same time.
It's not really a thing, and I understand what it is. It's leadership. It's called leadership fatigue, because you understand when you start out doing this work, you surround yourself by people who have the same energy and you feel on the same mission. But as you start to do it differently and you engage yourself, you realize that everybody ain't on the same page, right? And it's not a dig at anybody. It's not nothing against anybody, but everybody is not willing to go where you are. And that's what I was talking about. It wasn't that they weren't serious. It's just that with his vision and the way that he wanted to see people organize and fight, he knew that, or he started to believe that, I've seen this before. I know, and I remember him telling us before. He said, "What are you going to do at this moment? I've seen it before. What are you planning to do?" Like, he was and he wasn't just happy that people were following and it was big marches and all that. He would just really be like, "So what are you going to do? Like, what is the plan? What are you guys? How are you going to do it? You know they're going to come at you. And he understood because he had watched it over, and that's what happens with leadership. A lot of the people that they quote unquote say sell out is because they got to the point where it's like, what am I fighting for? Like, the people that I'm trying to fight to protect don't give a fuck about me. I done almost died. I done been incarcerated. And they're going to tell you I sold out because I said or did one thing that they didn't. They didn't look at all the things that I contributed to this movement. So now it's about me figuring out, fuck that. I'm going to utilize whatever I got, and I'm going to take care of myself. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. So it's very hard. Or our leaders die young. Right? Either they die young or they go old enough to realize or believe that they fighting for a purpose.
A
And
fight
people
they can't win.
they can't win because the people don't even realize that they need to fight. So, hopefully we don't get to that stage, but it definitely gets to a point where you mad, you like and they say that all the time. Your biggest fight is against the people that you actually fighting for. But
I guess that's true. Well, boycott Target. And I know that there's so many people with us we know because their stock was down the lowest in 5 years recently. Right. So we're not going to retreat, and we're not going to sit here and say, oh, no, it's not working. No. We're doing a very good job. And I know there are many of you out there who are staying the course and understand that the end game is more important than the current moment that we're in. So thanks a bunch for being in the struggle for real, for real. Let's talk about the TMI. So I was thinking we could choose one of two topics for our TMI today.
Okay, what is that?
Right. The first topic is something that was suggested by Janice, our wonderful producer, right over there, who will never come on the camera. If she ever comes on the camera, we're going to fall out. Like, that's when the apocalypse.
She made it.
Will be here. We could talk about the images, like how seeing all of these images of people being murdered, blood, choking, stomping, beating, shooting is too much. Like, is it too much? Or maybe some people feel like it's not. Or we could talk about how do you maintain hip-hop culture, right? Which some of it has been problematic as hell. But some of it has been the fun, the battle, whatever. And then still try to figure out how we don't die or have beefs that last forever where kids are killing each other over it. So that would be more so of my Cardi B experience, which Cardi's album, she's got at least 7 fire songs on it. So that's a good album. That's it for me. But I was just trying to think which one. So you pick which one you want to talk about.
Well, both of those things, we could just
No, we don't have time to talk about both.
We can dibble it.
Let's pick one.
Pick one.
You got to pick one lady. You can't have 3 and 6 and 10.
I'm always, since hip-hop is my thing, I think there's always been an art of competition inside of hip-hop, and I enjoyed, like, I don't know a lot of people, I enjoyed watching Drake and Kendrick compete, right? And nobody ended up shooting anybody. And even though there are tempers rising, but some people naturally just don't get along. You don't like each other, right? It's just like a boxing match. People box, they don't like each other. If you watch before the boxing match, they push each other, they talk crazy to each other. After the fight, they some of them dap it up and have respect for each other, just like Jay-Z and Nas. They was 2 titans that went to war. They didn't like each other.
They went to war?
I mean, they went to lyrical war, right? There was a lyrical war. And then at the end of the lyrical war, they became friends and they began to do things. And they talked about the admiration, because most of the time when you at odds with somebody, there's an admiration there. But there's a competitive nature in you because you want to prove that you're the best. And they're telling you that the other person's the best. So that is human nature. That's why we like sports. That's why we watch every sport. We watch the people go out there on the football field and they try to take each other's head off every time. This is just a reality of what we're dealing with. So I think hip-hop is just an extension, is another sport that people talk about. I think when we start to understand, we got to teach our kids emotional intelligence.
That's right.
So that they're not shooting and killing each other. So when there is some type of miscommunication or there's a controversy or conflict between each other, let's rap it out. Let's see who can rap the best. Like battle rap is I love battle rap. They get on battle rap, they say the craziest shit to each other, the things they say to each other, but it's a sport. And they shake each other's hands. Sometimes they might get a fist fight here and there. Nobody's died over battle rap. But they go into that arena understanding that this person is going to try to say whatever he can to get the oohs from the crowd. It's going to be some stuff that may be disrespectful. I don't do anymore because I haven't, I'm too old for that. And certain shit you ain't going to say about my mama and all that. I don't want to go through all that. But I enjoy watching it, and I enjoy the people who have that discipline in that, arena to be able to sit there and craft things that are creative, and people pick who's the best man at the end of the day, or woman at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's what hip hop is. It's always been competitive. You know, Roxanne, Shantae had a beef with the real Roxanne, and you have Molly Mall and KRS-One. There was always beef. Queensbridge
I
against
get it. I get
it's
it.
always been that. So, you know, I just want us to get to a stage, right, to where we able to look at these hip hop battles and be entertained and enjoy, and they don't turn into anything that somebody's losing their life.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing is, I'm from Harlem, got to the Bronx at 14 years old. So as much as I want to be sitting here talking like, oh, well, we can't and we have to be and this and that, and shout out to our brother D1, who is constantly trying to help to talk to us about elevating the music, because the music is a sign of the times, right? Mm-hmm. And so I get it. But I'm also a New Yorker, and I like people who can rap for real. I like real lyricists. I like good rap music, and I love a good battle. Like at this point, I'm waiting on JT and Bia to put their response records out for Cardi, right?
So you can hear
so we can get some good music going. But the problem, the reason why I hesitate to encourage that is because for whatever reason, to your point about emotional intelligence, to your point about understanding that this stuff is supposed to stay on wax, it's supposed to, you're supposed to still be able to bump fists afterwards. It don't be happening like that. Like people, like I never forget that day, I don't know what party they were at, where you saw like Cardi leaping over people, her and Nicki about to really throw down, mm-hmm. right? And like you said, sometimes people fight. That is what it is. But I know, speaking of the people we're about to meet with today, that in the violence prevention community that we're from, they know that these back and forths turn into young kids taking a side, and the next thing you know, the kids are out there beefing.
That's what we have to get under order, right? I think when the artists start saying, yo, this is not no beef where we trying to kill each other.
But when you like, baby, let me tell you about Cardi B. Cardi B blacked out on this album. Blacked out.
And I think so they don't like each other.
She said, they clearly they really don't like
and
each
that's
other.
Part of life.
So I don't think that, and maybe that is the responsible thing to do, is to have artists saying this is on wax.
But for me, when I came home from prison, I went to detention centers and taught people how to use music as an alternative to violence. If you feel like you want to stab somebody and you go put it in the record and an emotion comes out and you like, yo, I wish I would have did this, boom, 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 and you just say it, it might prevent you from stabbing somebody.
Well, but
let out the anger.
But let's be
stress.
Clear.
It's like yelling in the room.
But the new project that you have with the young people in Newark, New Jersey, from heel music to drill music, you let them take drill beats and talk about whatever, but they're not allowed to talk about shooting and killing.
That's the truth.
So that is an intentional thing, because you know that sometimes,
because a lot of these kids have not engaged in emotional intelligence.
They haven't
been taught, the art of words and have a skillful debate. Like if you watch our scholars debate, they called each other all kinds of ignorant shit. They called each other coon. They called this and that. And they sat there and debated each other, and nobody got hit in the mouth. I watched Umar.
Oh, that's not true that people didn't get hit in the mouth. Because I remember my old boss was tearing it up on the stage.
But ain't nobody get shot. Sometimes
they didn't get shot. I get it that sometimes people got to get things out. I'm only stating for the TMI today that Cardi's album is hot. The girls is texting. They like, oh, okay, that's what's up. This song, that song. And like I said, if you got 7 strong songs on an album, that's good. Because most of the time, it be the 2 radio hits, and maybe you find 1 more. But when you got 7, 8, and probably other people like 2 more songs on the album, that's a good album. She put together a solid body of work, but she's blacking and taking some serious shots from her experiences and some other stuff. Cardi is Cardi. I just hope that when these people respond, that they are responsible. Because Cardi is from the Bronx.
She's from
like
Highbridge.
like from Highbridge.
She's from Highbridge.
The album, like a part of it, when I'm listening to it, and I wonder, I want to hear what my Southern friends and my Cali people and what they have to say. But I know today, all the chicks that I know from New York, from the boroughs, is like, this is fire, and that's because it resonates with us, because that's our sound, that's our music, that's that soul, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just hope that these other people are talented enough, and we know that JT is talented enough. I don't really know who Bia is, but we know JT is talented enough to make music that just gives us something else to buy and some back and forth, and then they could just move on with their separate lives. They ain't got to be friends, but just please, Lord, let it stay on the songs.
I believe it's going to stay on the songs. I think.
Not the way that...
Cardi B got 4 kids.
Shit. Have you seen Cardi lately?
Yeah, Cardi ain't out there. But that's what she said. She said she gonna talk her shit now. She realized these people gonna sue. It's too much. She realized they gonna sue if she look at them. So listen, I'm gonna talk my shit on here. As long as y'all don't do nothing to me, like, I'm not trying to go out there and find you.
She opened up a window of opportunity.
Hell yeah, like Bia is supposed to capitalize right now, because I don't know who Bia is. I seen her once or twice, and Cardi got one of the top albums in the country right now. You supposed to come out with your song and make people pay attention to. She actually gave you a layup.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's what it is. Producers, get to working. So now our guests are coming up. Let's get into that. All right, so, I think we made a decision that we're going to stick to this topic of the black unemployment rate, and we ain't letting it go, because every week.
It's serious, because it's growing. It's like, it's unreal.
Yeah, every week, we're not going to let it go, because we said this would happen. When people told us, oh, DEI has nothing to do with black people, that's not our issue, and we were like, we're telling you that the unraveling of and dismantling of and criminalizing basically of DEI, that it would absolutely mean black folks, and we're seeing it happen in real time, and it's probably DEI plus just discrimination in general that is causing the black unemployment rate to be at such high rates. I think that when people hear numbers, if they don't understand like proportion, they don't really get it. They're like, okay, well, I still have my job. So if you say that the overall unemployment rate for black folks in this country is 7.6%, they'll say, well, I have my job, my friends have their jobs. Like, we have one friend who doesn't, but so we don't necessarily understand how serious this is for our community. Mm-hmm. And what we don't understand is that, especially when people are collecting an unemployment check, or people are, they have a little nest egg saved, that you don't really feel it until some time later, right? So in the next 6 months or so, you're going to begin to see people suffering in real ways. I saw Donald Trump saying on TV, I guess he was over there in Europe, and he was like, yeah, we fixed inflation. And I'm like, I know for a fact, I have 7 jobs, 7 different incomes to make up my little bitty life. And it's too expensive for me to get groceries and other things. Like, the tariffs is killing us in turn. You can't even order a t-shirt. So I don't know what he just says anything. So there's that. So today we have 2 experts on this issue. One of them is our sister forever and ever and ever, and the other is a gentleman who has become our friend.
Yes, sir.
And want to bring both of them into this conversation about how this unemployment crisis is impacting our community. First of all, Valeisha Butterfield, who is the co-president of the Grammys. She is a global business leader. She is the founder of the Global State of Women, where they are specifically providing mutual aid to women, black women who are in need as they have lost employment or been pushed out of the workforce. She also is an activist, which is where we first met. And Valeisha is probably the most called on person that I know by artists, entertainers, and other very influential people, including politicians, to get support on ideas that they have or activism or ways that they can get involved in different issues. And so just all around, just a powerful sister. And I may have some, maybe in her bio, I don't know, there may have been some more stuff I could say, but Valeisha Butterfield is the bomb. How about that? And she was just recently a bad mama jamma walking in the black, what is it, Actively Black.
You got to walk
fashion
that walk.
show. And then our brother, Kevin Meggett, who is the regional commander for the National Association for Black Veterans. He is also the founder of Veterans Action Now. And this brother is from the Bronx, so
PX, baby.
We know he's going to keep it real.
That's right.
But he's also sitting at the center of veteran activism and advocacy, and really looking at how this unemployment crisis is impacting a community that was already not receiving their fair share after having served on behalf of this nation. And so I want to thank both of you for being with us today, and we want to dive into this topic. I think let's start. Valeisha, I know you have so much to say, but today we're going to give the brothers some air. We're going to start with the brother man who's in his car taking the time to stop and to have this conversation. Tell us what you are seeing and experiencing in your networks. I know you've already been fighting on behalf of the veteran community, and we appreciate you for your service. And I would love to kind of hear from you in this climate that we are in, with the type of administration that we're dealing with in Washington, D.C. What is happening? How are you feeling? And what are some of the struggles that you're contending with at this time?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show. The biggest struggle is equity. What's happening is we don't have equity to the same amount of jobs that our white counterparts have. In fact, DEI is very real. It's very black targeted, because we don't know exactly what numbers per se are affected with the downsizing of different federal agencies. But what we do know is that a number of them are black and a number of them are veterans. And the VA is just one example. As you downsize, a lot of veterans have gone from retirement to working for the VA, or they're service connected and they're working for the VA to supplement an income. So those are usually the first people that have gone. Overall, unemployment is an issue for Black veterans, but I think underemployment is even worse, because it's a hamster wheel. And so I think one of the worst things, the most disrespectful thing that you could offer a veteran that comes in is get your credentials and become a security guard. Security. It's just an eyelash above minimum wage.
Wow.
And these are the jobs that they're stock clerks, things like that. These are the positions that they're putting Black veterans in. So it becomes a system where they don't stay at the job and they come right back for the same services, and it's a hamster wheel. So, and you have these different organizations that are being funded to keep this hamster wheel going, because it's a money grab for everyone, and everyone's getting paid except for the Black veteran. And then I just want to touch on also how there are disparities between white veterans and Black veterans, and the amount of the jobs that they receive, the opportunities that they're offered. But bigger than that, it gets deeper and wider as you look at service claims and things like that. There's disparities all across the board, but particularly especially in the Black in Black employment.
When you say service claims, that's important. So what you're saying is, yes, the job piece is clearly, a crisis. But even when it comes to veterans who are applying for services from the federal government or even state and city government agencies, there is a disparity between what services white folks and Black folks can receive. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Especially in the service. The first service claim denial that we know of is our mother, Harriet Tubman. A lot of people don't know that she was elevated to colonel in the army. She was a spy, and bigger than that, she led an attack on where my family's from, Charleston, South Carolina, on behalf of the Union. So when once the Civil War was over and she moved upstate New York, she put in for her retirement papers, and the Army denied her. And that's the first, but that's to this day you have a lot of service connections being denied and based off of race. So
Wow. So, Valeisha, like, what are you seeing through your work at the global state of women? What are you seeing with the disparities between unemployment for women?
Well, I think it's important to just ground us a bit in the data, which Tamika did also at the beginning of this segment. And thank you for having Kevin and I both on. Currently today, according to the Economic Policy Institute, the Black unemployment rate, Mysonne, overall is 7.5%. But what is alarming is over the last 3 months, we've seen the Black women's unemployment rate just continue to uptick. And so we have, just as a community, an overall unemployment rate of 7.5% when the national average is 4.3%. And so that alone just lets you know that there's a huge disparity and gap, and it's really a state of emergency, right? I mean, I can't gloss over it enough. This has been unprecedented in recent years. This is a historic decline in unemployment, and it's startling. But I think also when you think about Black women and all of the obstacles that we're facing, when we started combing through the data with Global State of Women, we have the federal government shutdowns playing a huge role when you know that Black women represent more than 12% of the federal workforce until recently. And so you have the federal shutdowns that have taken place. You also have AI, right? So you look at all the digital transformation that's happening, the AI, you know, what some people have said is human replacement. It has impacted Black women specifically in tech and so many of our industries in, again, unprecedented and unexpected ways. And then the last part is the media and entertainment industry. I mean, we've seen shifts in film and TV and music through those digital transformations that have just been like it's taken our breath away. And so when we launched Global State of Women, we honestly expected 1,000 or 1,500 Black women to apply to the fund seeking emergency relief. And we have now toppled over 40,000 Black women who have applied for support and relief in just 4 weeks. And so that lets you know where we are. I'll say this, when we comb through again, all of the stories, all of the applications that came through, we're talking about women who had C-suite roles last year, who were decision makers. We're talking about professors at major Ivy League institutions. We're talking about decision makers in a lot of corporations. So there is a multiplier effect and ripple impact that's happening across our communities, because not only are these women displaced and out of the workforce, they're now, you know, unable to support and fund small businesses and Black-owned businesses and women-owned businesses too.
So I just want you to give a little bit of insight on exactly what the Global State of Women Fund is. What exactly does it do?
And so we started it, you know, as an initiative to provide relief, financial relief to women, specifically Black women, who have been disproportionately impacted by this unemployment crisis. And so the first goal was to provide immediate, direct relief, anywhere from $500 to $1,500 as a one-time award given and granted. But then the shorter term plan is to really start standing up virtual career fairs, programs to support career placement, because so often people want to mentor us and give us more development when we've got the skills. We just need the jobs, right? And so closing those gaps and creating access. But then the final part of it, and Tamika and I talk about this a lot, is, you know, what are those entrepreneurial paths too? Because sadly, so many of us are going to be forced into entrepreneurship when that may have not even been a goal.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking about this veterans piece, man. I mean, this is quite disturbing, and I could see, Valeisha, when Kevin was speaking, I could see your, you know, wheels turning, because in some of our most recent conversations with others, as we are building and thinking through what is the strategy for pushing back on this thing and then rebuilding, and also sounding the alarm. We cannot just capitulate. Like, we can't just be like, oh well, hands up in the air and we'll see how it goes. No, that we have to fight back. We have to make sure these people understand that what they are doing to us, we get it, we see it, we know it, and our people have to be informed. And so when I'm listening to you, Kevin, and you're talking about the veterans component, it never occurred to me that, as Valeisha said, these federal agencies that have shut down, where they say more than 91,000 Black women lost their jobs since January, or whenever they started this crackdown, they lost their jobs. It never occurred to me that our veterans are probably another portion that has not even been counted, right? Because you're saying that a veteran who, comes home and is now looking for employment, one of the biggest places, I guess, or most common places for them to be able to go was into the federal government. I think I saw that on a special somewhere where white folks was jumping up and down about how these, cutting these different programs was going to impact their job numbers. And so talk a little bit about those jobs. Like, where are veterans going? And has any study been done, or is there any data out there, or is that something that we need to be thinking about, data around the impact on veterans, which includes Black women, right? Which includes Black women. But we know that there is no struggle that we can fight where we don't focus on our entire community and the Black family. So I know that was a lot, but I have so much that I'm thinking about in reference to the points that you're making on Black veterans.
Well, thank you for the question. We don't have a robust statistic. Unfortunately, even when we had COVID, there's no statistic that said how many veterans were lost for during COVID. It's almost like veterans have been forgotten about. It's like, once you finish serving, you're no good. So, I mean, make it make sense. Once, like I'm a Gulf War veteran. I saw action. I've fought. I've fought and bled for this country, and there's others that fought, bled, and died for the country, and they deserve a little bit more dignity in what they're getting. I mean, what I do know is, in the 13 years of doing homeless veterans reintegration program, which is basically a Department of Labor program, that they're pushing more people towards customer service and security guard and things like that, flaggers. And we're, at least one thing the Obama administration, I would give them, they had the right idea. They had this thing called VRAP. And what VRAP was designed to do was, it was designed to retrain people, service people, and give them a better skill setting. So instead of being a security guard, why not train them to become cybersecurity, where they could make not a minimum wage job, but a living wage job. You know what I mean? And so no one's thinking outside the box, but I don't think that I think we're screaming. I think the veteran community is screaming as loud as they can with people who got fingers in their ears.
It's crazy to me. Valeisha, answer this question to me, because I'm constantly having these conversations and debates with the DEI and all these things. Why do you think that, despite everyone seeing these numbers, people still push back and say that DEI didn't benefit Black people and Black women?
I have to laugh, right? I think, well, first I want to say, Kevin, thank you for your service.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
My dad and grandfather are both veterans. And I think exactly what you're saying around underemployment is so true too. And we're seeing this over and over again, even with this unemployment crisis. So many Black women saying, hey, I've got all this experience, right? And I can't find a job doing anything, even outside of my experience level and scope. I mean, we're basically left to fend for ourselves. And so, and the gig economy is like holding a lot of people, just above water. But I think DEI, Mysonne, the greatest beneficiary of diversity, equity, and inclusion was white women. Period. That is proven, that is documented, that is data supported fully, right? And so when you think about, the approach to DEI, and for me as a DEI practitioner in former roles, I mean, you really go where the data points you, right? It's not, and there was a big misconception around that. The assumption was, even for me, if you're a Black woman, of course, you're centering Black women in your DEI process. But no, right? The data clearly pointed to the greatest, most disproportionate gaps when you cut race and you cut gender, right? Were Black women having the largest gaps. And we're talking around hiring, retention, progression, pay equity gaps, you name it, right? And then if you look at all of the work that was involved around that, whether that was focusing on LGBTQIA plus communities, people with persons with disabilities, veteran status, if you really started to look at the data and peel back those layers, you started to see that the greatest gaps and opportunities to close those gaps were when you cut race and gender. However, so many of these organizations and systems only cut it by gender. And when you only cut it by gender and you act like race is not a thing and make it race agnostic, then obviously those programs center women. And just by proportion, white women carry the greatest representation rate, right? And so it gets tricky because now I think DEI has been weaponized. It has been used as a tool to divide, when in fact, again, white women have been the greatest beneficiaries. Even still, right? Even if you look at the unemployment crisis, white women overall are experiencing an unemployment crisis too, but they're opting out of the workforce for a myriad of reasons that are valid, right? Reentry has been hard once you have children. Being able to, compete with the pay equity gaps and scale, lack of progression and progress within the workforce. So white women have experienced barriers and have chosen to leave. However, we're talking about a different beast over here, where Black women are educated, qualified, in the space, don't want to leave, but are being forced out. And so that's the distinction, right? And it doesn't make our plight harder, although personally, I feel like it's harder, right? Because I'd rather leave by choice than be forced to leave without a plan.
That's right.
That's what's happening.
So I would say that I wish someone had the resources to study, because as you said, white women have definitely been impacted. We know that, and we see it. We see it in the No Kings marches. We see it in the phone calls we're getting from the white women who are like, these mofos is out of their minds. We out here, we're in the movement. Some of them are actually leading resistance spaces. And a part of it is that they know they're being impacted in many different ways, from the right to choose to being pushed out of the workforce to, the list goes on and on and on. So we know that that's there. But if there was someone who had the resources to do deeper or more granular study, I bet you we would find that many of those white women who wanted to stay have been repurposed within a company, right? Their position is now, whatever else, whether even if it's being the assistant, because I promise you that what they have done, as you said, with weaponizing DEI, is to go and say, let's use this to get rid of most of the people of color or most of the Black women.
I'm sorry, Tamika. I just have to say, though, let's just say in this perfect world where everyone wants to be colorblind, strip away everything pertaining to race, and we zoom out, right? And look at the macro issue. The economy is crumbling.
Absolutely.
Right. So DEI, call it whatever you want. Like the business case for hiring, retaining, and advancing Black women in the workforce, it behooves us as a country to not do that.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I think that's where it gets tricky, because, can we make the argument? Can we go deeper in the insights and data? Sure. We could do it all day. And at the end of the day, the economy for, I believe and foresee decades is going to need to recover
To come.
for this crisis that Black women are currently experiencing in front of.
Now, I agree with you. And Kevin, I also understand very well what you're saying is that veterans can do lots of other jobs, right? And we claim we can't find this has been, Valeisha, how many times have you heard these corporations and institutions say we can't find qualified people for any of these roles? And yet there is an entire community of folks who have been away and have had to be educated in order to participate in the protection of our nation. These are not people that just went somewhere and sat on the sidewalk and waited for a bomb to blow up. These are people, many of them have had training that is extensive, that they can do other things. They can think, they can move, they can organize, and yet and still we are not pulling from that particular pool of individuals. And I would say that while you are, Kevin, working with Black veterans, as we said about the white women, white veterans are hurting as well. It would behoove these folks not to vote for their own demise, because it seems like people from other communities are actually supporting ideas and politicians who are very dangerous to them. So I don't know what we do to get people to see that none of this, to your point, Valeisha, is good for not just the Black community, but for the society in general. So Kevin, I don't know, if you want to share, what can people do to help? Can people donate to your organization? Are there actions that you all are taking that you want folks to get involved with? Like, give us a job.
Thank you. I on July 4th, when they had the big ugly bill introduced, I simultaneously held a press conference on the steps of the Bronx Supreme Court, and I launched a campaign on an initiative called End Veteran Poverty Now, because at the end of the day, PTSD, suicide thoughts, underemployment, unemployment, food disparities, those are all symptoms. The virus is poverty and racism. And being that racism is such a hot topic, I chose to just concentrate on the poverty, and I will Trojan horse in the racism, because it does matter. I don't want people to think it doesn't matter, but I just need people's attention. Assemblyman Landon Days and I are hosting a rally right across the street from the Bronx Supreme Court on September 30th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to end veteran poverty. And I want to thank the Assemblyman, because he's been helping me message throughout the state, and he's trying to get 20 million extra dollars allotted to the budget for veterans. But you could throw money at the problem all day. If you don't understand the problem, you'll still have the problem. So I think VRAP would be a form of New York State VRAP would really work, because it worked in the Obama administration, and he doesn't get credit for that. He that was a really good move that he did. And one more thing I want to add, I suspect that the unemployment rate is much higher than you guys are suggesting, because your statistics come from unemployment claims. But what happens when the person claims out?
Absolutely.
And they're not reported anymore. And so I suspect that it's much, much higher than what you guys or what the statistics show. Absolutely. On that, I'll yield.
I definitely agree with that. I want to make a correlation to something, because me and Tamika were just having a conversation about how domestic violence is rising, right? I know, to me, when you think about unemployment and you think about domestic violence, do you see the correlation between that? Could you give us like some insight on how those things actually connect?
Sure. So
both of you guys, you can give us a little.
When if you have I always concentrate on the veteran and their families. Veterans have families. If you find an unhealthy veteran, you're going to find an unhealthy family. If you find an unhealthy family, you're going to find an unhealthy veteran. So it's a hand in glove. So this poverty initiative shouldn't just go towards the veteran, but it should also be extended to the family.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin, and I think it all boils down to, in a lot of cases, the impact that being unemployed or underemployed or having, a financial hardship can bring, right? So first, you could potentially use, or you will lose your medical coverage,
Right.
right? So let's start there, right? So health disparities, lack of coverage, lack of being able to go to the doctor, things start to brew, could make you stay in a relationship, right? If perhaps that coverage can help, can be applied because of that relationship. So that's one. The second is mental health, right? If you think about, our ability to have a therapist, oftentimes it's not even covered by insurance anyway, right? So being able to pay out of pocket for a mental health therapist.
Yeah, that's support.
And support, right? And so then you isolate, right? Like all of this happens, right? When you lose a job, when you're unable to, make ends meet. And it can often cause us to stay in relationships that are unhealthy. It can often cause us to experience, different dynamics around abuse. Some of that could be physical, some of that could be mental, some of that is financial abuse. Right? Like we forget that that is a form of abuse too. And so, if we have a partner that may be, using that as leverage against us, right? Maybe using that as a carrot to just keep you there and under the thumb, like whatever it is, right? We're seeing over and over again, so many people suffer so many different consequences, right? Because of what's happening right now. And certainly abuse is a part of it. And so, I fear that, when we as a community lack freedom, and freedom, often starts with the economic freedom to choose and decide when to stay and when to go, we're going to continue to see more of this kind of ramping up. And then child abuse too, right? If you think about children in the home who now too suffer because maybe the parent has to stay.
Yeah, that's right. So Valeisha, before we go, let's talk about this whole concept of like building from here, right? Like in any crisis, the best mediators of such crisis and those who have the best strategies are people who know that we have to rebuild something. And we absolutely cannot build America back exactly as it was. So as it comes to its knees, because you're talking about the economy is crashing, people have been pushed out of the workplace, and the agencies that were in place to try to provide some levels of checks and balances on our government and on society, those have been dismantled in many ways. They have been dismantled to the point, and when you couple that with they are removing reports on discrimination in agencies, and I mean they're doing so much. They're even erasing the history that will remind us of what these systems actually did and how they function. And so we have to nation build in this moment. And I know you've been thinking about that. I'm now sitting here saying, okay, the veterans and then the black women and the black men, like sounds to me like there's some agencies of our own. There's some businesses of our own. And I know you've been thinking about that. Tell me, I want you to talk about two things quickly. One is that the energy that you're seeing is people saying we're going to build our own, we're going to try to invest in our businesses. And the other thing, as an entrepreneur that you are, because no matter which jobs you've had, you've always maintained your own businesses and, been involved in entrepreneurship. And, that's what we do every day. It is a massive struggle. That is not an easy thing to just go pop up shop and start working on your own. So do you feel like it is even realistic to say that of the, let's say 1 million people, because I'm with Kevin, it's 1 million people at least, right? Black women, men, and it's probably 1 million each and more that are out of the workforce right now, and some that were already out and can't get in, right? is it realistic for all these people to just go start their own businesses, start their own companies, and find the funding necessary to sustain themselves?
So I'll start by saying to anyone watching or listening, I know this feels overwhelming. I know it does, right? And so often we are so sick and tired of the talking, the rhetoric, the talking points, which is why a lot of young people, and quite frankly, just a lot of us in our community have just given up on caring anymore and waiting for someone to come save us. And so the best answer I can give to the first part is we have to get back to the basics, period, right? Our ancestors told us the plan, the blueprint. They gave it to us, right? I think it starts, one, with recognizing that our vote actually does matter.
That's right.
Our brother Kenny Burns today was talking about it on his platform, just like, I know there's been a lot of lack of desire to vote anymore, a lot of voter apathy, but if you can't control anything else, what you can control is your right to vote and getting up or going out, mailing in your ballot, or going and casting a ballot in these midterms and in the generals. That's one. Just please vote. I know even when you feel like your voice doesn't matter, it literally will change everything at the local, state, and federal level. So just vote, right? So that's one. The second is recirculating our dollar, right? We control where our money goes in most cases. And so if you have the ability to go a little bit further to get the thing you really want from a Black-owned business, if you have the ability to wait a few more days instead of waiting for that same day delivery to hit, if you can just do your best to put your dollar or keep your dollar in our community for as long as you can, we're going to see change move.
Absolutely.
And then the third thing is, and this is not popular for some reason in my friend circles, but I've been saying it for a few months, community living. Other communities do it, right? Think about it. So many other communities will get homes and sisters, cousins, brothers stay in the homes together and everybody pulls their weight and no one's left behind. And so just let's think differently about our approach to this on a micro level, on a human level, on a family level over the next few years. Because at the end of the day, if we wait for someone to come, we're going to be waiting for a long time.
We might have to get back to poly like we was in Africa.
Oh, my God. Good night, everybody. That's it.
The Africa. We might have to go back to Kenya, the Africans, where they started. Listen, man.
So listen, my son, are the men going to provide and the women could stay home?
Listen, desperate time call for desperate measures, man.
You know something too? We have to look at this as a national security threat that's going on. And so one of the books that I've read that's been very helpful with me and navigating and like organizing and galvanizing other veterans is a book called Why National Security Matters by Asha Castleberry Hernandez. We got to look at this with the lens with veterans. They're really afraid. They're afraid that we will take over this democracy because they taught us how to fight. I know how to fight. I fight very well. They taught me. And so I think that they kind of put their finger on us because they know we could not only save this democracy, we could take it over.
Well, I think also a part of the national security piece is that when this economy collapses, as it is absolutely on its way to, the crime, the violence, all the stress that's on our communities now is only going to be worse. And it will definitely not be safe. So what we hope is that we're able to build a wall of protection around our communities with both prayer and strategy. And that, we know that we cannot save everybody in the community by having businesses, because if you pay taxes, the taxes are supposed to circulate back into the community through opportunities, through services and support. And so there's going to have to be some straightening. But right now, I am very grateful for people like you who are staying on the wall and continuing this fight and not allowing people to just go home and feel hopeless and have nowhere to turn. There has to be a movement that is strong and it allows folks to feel like even though we might not be in the best position in this moment, we're still not standing down. And so continue to stand up, continue to elevate, continue to do what you're doing, and just know that there are other people out here. Valeisha knows this, but Kevin, we want you to know that you have resources of people to tap into to help you expand the mission and what the work you're doing, because it's so very important.
Sure is.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and thank you for everything that you guys are doing as well.
Thank
you. We appreciate you. Keep it up,
Thank
King.
You, thank you both.
We love you, Valeisha.
Thank you for joining the TMI show. Peace out.
We're going to get you the next catwalk. Let's go, man. Come on now.
I'm ready.
America's Next Top Model. Let's go. Come on. We need jobs. We're going to utilize every skill set we got.
Put me to work.
This man talking about poly relationships. Listen, what he doesn't understand is that some of those is going to have to be that the brothers allow the women to be the head of household, because
listen, if that's what
in
it's gonna
some
work.
cases,
if it's three of y'all as the head of household, it's fine. All three of y'all can be the head of household.
I want to go back to tradition. I'm with you. Your original point.
Right. Let the men take care of us. No. But what we need is to be able to take care of one another. This is some serious shit that's going on here. Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Peace out.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
Shout out to Valeisha Butterfield and our brother Kevin Meggett for being our guests and talking about such a serious topic. You know, unemployment is serious. Like you said, this economy is tanking. It's so crazy to me that people just didn't hear Kamala when she said it. They just completely
You just like to start.
I do, because it's funny to me, because they don't want to listen to the black woman who said the economy is going to be
people are committed
shambles.
to hating that lady.
Yeah, but it don't matter whether, listen to me.
They don't care if it means their own demise. They like the people who, you know, they're so committed to their own, to being against somebody that they won't even like work or eat or do anything. They won't even take care of themselves because they just committed.
It's called stupidity.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing else but the stupidity. Like, you know, I don't understand it, man. But shout out to them for talking about this topic and delving into the realities. I didn't even understand, or I'm not saying I didn't understand. I just wasn't even focused on the veteran piece. Mm-hmm. You know, the veteran piece and how the economy is definitely hitting them. And just talking about them not having proper jobs, or them just wanting to give them just a regular security job that doesn't really pay the bills, you know? So it's serious, man. And I just want to salute them for the work that they're doing.
Yes,
Valeisha's
it's hard work.
organization, the Global State of Women, and her raising $40,000 women that they raising money to be able to just give money to in this times, because they've lost so much.
And it's not easy to raise that money, because initially you'll get an infusion of money from different people, but after a while it starts to dry up and the applications never stop. So she's in that space of trying to get the big infusion. You need somebody, in order to be able to give people like a real substantial amount of aid and support, you need a few $1 million, right? Like, it's not going to be, and when I say a few, I'm talking 20. Right? No, I'm serious. If you're thinking about 40,000 women, trying to get them X amount of dollars that would really help them be able to like cover their rent or mortgage for 2 months or 3 months while they try to figure things out, or provide them with 6 months of groceries and gas and, you know, other things they may need, or help people to deal with their medical bills. If you think about those types of expenses for 40,000 people, and that's a small group of the larger number, you need $20 million.
100%.
And by the way, everybody who's working on the fund is completely volunteer. Every single dime, hand to hand. I'm sure, and minus the expenses of the lawyers and the accountants that have to keep everything together. But all that money hand to hand is going directly back into the people. So they're not taking a salary or taking, fees from it. I mean, it's a real Herculean task. And I'm just, I'm grateful. Valeisha always has that edge of knowing what to do, like in a moment that's a crisis. So, God bless them. God bless the brother for working with the veterans. I appreciate the fact that, he's working with a forgotten community. And now I am so happy that we, thank God for Black Effect Podcast Network, have a platform to bring someone like him on so that he can tell the stories of a forgotten community that could be so much of a resource, to us and people who have fought for our safety and have nothing at this point. It's just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And speaking of unbelievable, let's go to my I Don't Get It today.
Let's talk about it.
So we saw this, what would we call it? Memorial for Charlie Kirk. And I don't really like to watch these things, but I was interested. It was, R.I.P. to the man. He lost his life, in a way that...
His life was taken.
His life was taken in a way that shouldn't happen to anyone. And we definitely do not promote any type of violence, And we seen that there was a bunch of people. There was a football arena full of people.
They said 64,000.
64,000. So, a lot of people came out to support him. He had a effect on a lot of people. So as I watched, there was different retribution. There was revenge. There was this level of vitriol and anger for the left and all these things. And one man even said, these are our rulers given power by God to institute the retribution on people. And I was just so confused. And I'm like, what God are they talking about? Because the God that I serve, the God that I believe in, was about peace, unification, love. I was looking at a memorial and I wanted to see people go up there and talk positive about this man, right? This is what they said. He was a man of God and all these things. They were supposed to go up there and talk about his life and how he would want people to move on and positive things. And everybody got up there. Not everybody, but for the most part, people got up there and spoke so much level of anger and how they were going to just get back at people and how they was going to strike down on everyone. And I was so confused. And then you got our president that took the time to go up there and talk about everything but Charlie. Talking about Charlie was, I hate my enemies. I don't want them to do good. Like it was so confusing to me. And I just don't get what God do these people be talking about? Because that's not the God I know, right? And they say Christian God. I grew up in a Christian Baptist household, and they never spoke like that. No church that I went to, the preacher had. I've never heard levels of vitriol and this level of anger and just I don't even know what the word to say. It just didn't seem godly to me. So I want to know, what God do these people be talking about? What God is telling them? And it's crazy to me because when I'm listening to them, and we went to the slave dungeons in Ghana, and we were walking through there, and there was a church that was on top of the dungeons, right? And I thought about the irony. I thought about the irony knowing that right above there, they had this church that these people sat in every day. And they called on their Lord while they had these people in them dungeons beating and enslaving and killing them and raping them and all that. And they utilized that God. So in my mind...
What do you mean they utilized them? Oh, they praised that God.
They prayed and said that they were given the authority by God. That they utilize God, and that's the religion that they taught a lot of the slaves to keep them in order, right? So I have to think that that God that they talk about is that same God. But that's not the God that I look up to. That's not the God that I know. So I really just don't get what God these people be talking about. I don't understand how you would utilize a memorial for someone that you say is a man of God, to talk about all types of evil things and retribution and striking down and doing all these negative things to people when you're supposed to be about love and forgiveness. I did hear, Charlie Kirk's his wife say that she forgave the person. That was probably the biggest act of God that I seen in there. Everything else that I heard from these people was just like, I don't even understand where y'all get this. What Bible do y'all be reading? What scripture do y'all get where all of this negative and this vitriol comes from?
I think it's powerful when you talk about enslaved people and how, this is a very similar interpretation of, it's a similar interpretation of God's word that allows them to be brutal, right? And we've seen that all throughout history. I would like to insert into this that a lot of people, not just the ones in that stadium, but a lot of people misuse the word of God for evil doing. A lot of people. And I think that's part of why there is this veil that I feel over me that says, we were talking about it at the beginning of the show, that I feel like I'm in a bubble, right? I just know that this thing is crashing. It's no way that it can continue as it currently stands. When we're in a situation where a young woman is on the side of the road with her boyfriend or whatever he is, and he stabs her in her face, stabs this woman in her face, kills her, and kind of just walks out like, like people just looking like, hey, what's the big deal? People hanging children. I saw a video today where it is alleged that a fourth grade white child hanged a second grade black child in the bathroom at a school. I mean, literally, the parents got to the principal called the parents and told the parents that it was that the child was choking and they needed to hurry up because the child was choking. Never mentioned to the parents on the phone that the principal actually found the child hanging, foaming out the mouth and unconscious. And this is what is being alleged, that the white child told the black child, this is what we used to do to you. And now it's been like a silence. It's a shut off of information. They're unwilling to participate in an investigation. This is the kind of stuff that's happening across the country. I don't see how we survive like this. When I looked at that crowd, and I would never watch. I feel like, and bless you for doing it, because, sometimes I watch Fox News channel. I used to watch it much more, but now I'm just like, okay, it's just racist and lies, and that's that. So cool. And if Teslin is on, I go watch it, because she be on there. Shout out to Teslin Figaro. She be on there feeding them whatever. Anything she want to feed them, she put her foot in their mouth, and they have to eat it, and I love that. But, when I used to watch it, and then I stopped to some degree because it almost feels like demons are coming out of the screen, and it's things that you can't sleep, you can't rest because you sitting there thinking to yourself.
I was up all night afterwards.
Thousands of people came together for a KKK rally in the name of a man who was murdered by another white man, and they should actually be talking about what to do about white violence and also to deal with hatred that they have helped to
foster.
Yeah, foster and like
initiate,
maintain, like they grow. This is their shit.
They incubated it.
Incubate is such a good word. Foster, incubate, such good terms. I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I think that it will not be long before we start to see this society crashing in ways that we're going to have to really take care of ourselves until we get to the other side. Now, they claim the white folks on TikTok are going, I don't have TikTok, but I heard the white folks on TikTok are concerned about the rapture. You know about the rapture, Janice? You don't know about the rapture?
Yeah, that's the end of the world that is coming.
And these people again playing around with God's word. I think that's when it gets like I'm with everything.
Because they looking at if you look at shit like that, you would think they gotta be there.
No. But these people are planning. I'm saying that I watched
2000 the world was supposed to end, remember?
Right. No, it's September 23rd of 2025, 23rd and 24th. They say God is coming. Now, one thing I will say is that in the 50 videos I watched in the middle of the night, there was some white people in there saying the word says you will not know the time nor the hour. So I need them to say that because I know we not going to have no date and no time for when God does what God does. But they are so far in their extremism. And again, the use of the word for evil is really the thing has to fall out the bottom.
It's like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Has to fall out the bottom.
Yeah.
How we survive, and now that, in terms of planning, that's how we survive. And I have to give attorney Angela Rye a hell of a lot of credit for keeping us consistent on, I know we over here fighting, we over here doing this. All those things are good. And she's like, I can support, I can help build infrastructure, I can do whatever. But we have to focus on what we're going to do to feed people when the SNAP benefits are cut. What are we going to do for medical support when the Medicaid is cut and people have issues and can't find a place to get a doctor or to get the treatment or the medication that they need? Yeah, all this. Everything else is important. But there's going to come a time when there will be very specific things that we will have to do to take care of our communities. And she has been very consistent in saying we need that plan as well. Or else there'll be pure mayhem.
Sure will.
So, people are going to say we spent the whole entire show trying to make them feel like it's the worst place. It's just so scary. But I don't know what else to do. We just spent the whole show telling the truth.
Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, sometimes we come on here, we could tell a good, the joke, and laugh. I want to shout out the African American Day Parade in Harlem. That was a beautiful event. Everybody came out there. It was love.
Did it get better? Is it getting?
It's getting people are coming out. I see more
posts.
It's more posts. It could be a lot more fuller. I think the day was a little chilly, so people wasn't out as much as they wanted it to be. Man. We wore whatever we went. Yeah, but I don't think
used to be
But
packed.
the thing is, nobody is promoting. I don't think they're playing for promotion. If you don't live in Harlem and you're not closely connected to the people in Harlem, then you don't even know.
So how does the Caribbean Day Parade get promoted?
Because it's all of the Caribbean, on every Caribbean channel, every Caribbean radio, all of those people are out there at the Caribbean Day Parade.
But I think there's just something to be said about
there's no performances at the
African. Yes, it is. It's right there at the state office
But nobody's
building.
Performing that nobody knows.
Who performs at the Caribbean Day Parade?
Well, all of the people to the Caribbean.
But I think there's just something.
There's no promotion. Yeah,
We over here, Janice, who is the producer of our show, is saying even the Latina folks know all about the Caribbean Day Parade, which is bomb. I love Caribbean Day Parade. I would say that there's something to the Black American struggle that is very different from everybody else's.
It is, but we still have to be intentional. Like, I think what we got to do, like we said last year, we have to take over the.
No, we can't take over.
Not take over. We got to go utilize our resources.
On this thing, it's talking about taking over people's stuff.
I mean, not taking over like physically. Yeah, I mean that we got to utilize our resources. Go sit down, say, look, we want to help promote it. We need to get us a float. We definitely need an Until Freedom float out there. Bring our people out there. We got to get
in town for it.
But we have to. We got to be intentional. Like if we not intentional about making the African American Day Parade the thing it's supposed to be and what it used to be, then it's gonna fall aside at the waist. That's what's gonna happen. So we have to be intentional, not take over. We wanna offer our services. to make it a better thing than it is. It was good. It was definitely good, but I know it can increase if we had more star power, if we had utilized and we said we went on the Black Effect Network and said we need everybody to promote this. We need all our resources to say, hey, African American Day Parade, we go up there and do some press for it. Like, it needs to be promoted properly.
It is. There you go. Well.
And with that said, we've come to the end of another episode. Shout out to Valeisha Butterfield and our brother, Kevin Meggett, for coming up here and talking to us about the very serious issue of unemployment in the Black communities. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for supporting us and making us the number one podcast in the world. Make sure you follow us at TMI_show and TMI Show PC on YouTube. My name is Mysonne Lennon, and I'm not going to always be right. Tamika D. Mallory's not going to always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
Salute.
That's how we own it.